which quarterback should the 49ers draft at 3?
Okay, so I think we are both under the assumption here that Trevor Lawrence is 1. I think we've known that since 2020, 2019 maybe.
2018.
Yeah, seriously. And then number 2 is looking like Zach Wilson. So that's what me and you are going off of here, right? That those two are number 1 and 2. If I'm the Niners, I am taking Justin Fields. I think I still don't know why he's fallen down the draft boards. Like nothing's literally happened besides just the offseason and like more scouts have been able to watch. But I think Fields is definitely the choice here. Most other years, I think he would honestly be the first quarterback in the draft. It just so happens that this year there's 2 other ones that are just as good, if not better, or at least that's what people think. So I'm going with Fields at 3. I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if it was anyone else. I don't think they should take anyone else at 3. It's going to be a quarterback. Which one? I think that's the question here. But what do you got, Vish?
For me, it's a no-brainer. This pick has to be Justin Fields. I'm a Justin Fields fan. I've been watching a lot of these quarterbacks over the last few weeks or months, actually. I've been spending a lot of time watching them, and for me, it's Justin Fields. It's a no-brainer. I think that his pre-draft has actually been kind of eerily similar to where he's just been over-scouted, I think. The same way Deshaun Watson was over-scouted in 2017. I mean, I remember this time in 2017, some people were saying that Deshaun Watson might not be a first-round pick. That was crazy. Lamar Jackson, I thought similar things happened to him before the draft. A lot of people were over-scouting him, saying he wasn't a first-round pick and all of that. Justin Herbert last year, not to as much of an extent, but similar things happened. And I think he's probably the most talented of the 4 quarterbacks. He's probably more talented than even Deshaun just because of his arm. His arm is a lot stronger than Deshaun's. But and now Justin Fields, to me, it's like the coverage is so weird. Like everybody's just ready to write him off. I think he's the no-brainer pick. I think he's got everything you're looking for. He's tough. He's a good runner. He's a good thrower. He's a very accurate down the field thrower. He can function within the pocket. For the most part, he figures out where to go with the ball, and he's started games. He's played in big games, and he knows he's been a superstar his entire life, so he knows how to handle the bright lights. So from that standpoint, I think this is really a no-brainer. It should be Justin Fields for me. At least from everything I've watched, I think that he's without a doubt one of the 3 best quarterbacks in this draft. And to me, the top 3 are Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields. And Wilson and Fields are like neck and neck for me. So to me, this is Justin Fields, and that's who they should take.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up something too. So this is a little bit ago, but in 2017, it was a QB camp, and Fields was there because obviously he was, I believe, the number 1
QB Collective.
Yes, QB Collective, and you know who was coaching him up there, Vish?
Shanahan.
Yeah. So that was like pretty interesting to just like see that because it's obviously very possible and probable that a reunion's coming up between those two. So that would be interesting. And I did want to ask you, so I know one of the things with Fields that is looked at as a negative is his release is not as fast as Wilson's, and it's like more, it's not the elite release or quick release that some other quarterbacks have. Do you think that could be an issue for the 49ers offense if he were to be drafted by them?
Little bit, but I thought his release looked quicker in his pro day. I think at the end of the day, like, do you wish he had Zach Wilson's release or Jimmy Garoppolo's release? Yeah, but I don't think that's the end all be all because for the most part, he does everything else you're looking for, and releases can get faster. Look at Dak Prescott. Look at Dak Prescott's motion when he came into the NFL compared to Dak Prescott's motion now. Like, these things are things that people tweak and people work on constantly. And I'm sure Justin Fields, he seems to be a guy, regardless of what Dan Orlovsky said, and then re-clarified after talking to 2 people very close to Justin Fields. These are things that you can improve. And And he seems to be a guy that's willing to improve and is all about working hard. So for those reasons, yeah, I do think he can improve it. Do I think it's a little bit of a problem? Yes, but I don't think that's the reason not to take him. I mean, the elongated release part, Russell Wilson has had the ball. He drops the ball down below his waist to throw the ball every time. And he's had zero problem with it. So I think if you're a really good quarterback, you can find ways to win with it. And I think that's a really small thing to keep harping on from a player who seems to have everything else down for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess since we're talking about all quarterbacks here, we can go the other route of Trey Lance, who's been really just popular among Niners fans with the whole trade-up idea. What do you think about him as a guy that the Niners could draft?
Yeah, so look, I think Trey Lance is it's weird because I always sound like a Trey Lance hater, but that's only because I don't think he should be the pick at 3. And I want to elaborate on why I don't think Trey Lance should be the pick at 3. Like, look, Trey Lance is very talented, elite runner, elite arm strength. Like there is a scenario where Trey Lance could be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL 3 years from now. It's just that 1, the sample size is small, that you don't have a lot to go off of. 2, he's not a very good down the field thrower. Regardless of what you want to say, Trey Lance is not an accurate down the field thrower at this point. And that's something I don't feel like that gets talked about enough, but he's not a very good one. And then with the other thing with Trey Lance is people are constantly talking about, oh, he called out his protection. He identified the mic in college. To me, that's like, that's so overrated. That's like such a small thing to identify. And this reminds me, and the things people say about Trey Lance and the reasons people hype him up, to me, just have no logic. It's just something that people keep hyping up with him. And it's like, if you remember in 2011, Jake Locker came out of college. He played in a pro-style offense. I'm not comparing Trey Lance to Jake Locker because Trey Lance is way more accurate than Jake Locker, who just wasn't an accurate quarterback. But everything that was said about Jake Locker was upside, great guy, first guy in, first guy out, played with Sarkisian in a pro-style offense, blah, blah, blah. But he just wasn't like a great quarterback. And Trey Lance, again, better than Jake Locker, no doubt about it. But the reasons why people say Trey Lance is better than Justin Fields just makes no sense to me. And somebody said this, and Fields is an accurate down the field thrower. Yes. You need to watch. You need to. It's been. It's not just been like. It's not just me. It's also been charted. Justin Fields is one of the most accurate down the field throwers in this class. I think he's second behind Mac Jones. Trey Lance is, I think, by far the least accurate of the big 5 as a down the field thrower. It's not just the charting from other people. It's also there. It's visual evidence verifies this. I think Lance could be good. I don't think there's any way you can take him over Justin Fields. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on like definitely don't take him over Fields. I personally don't think he's the guy for the Niners. I think you take him top 10, but I don't think he's a guy that you want to have your hopes on in the first year that he comes in. I think a team like the Panthers would make too much sense for him to go to, where he can sit behind Bridgewater for a whole year, maybe even a year and a half if needed, and not have the pressure. Because if he comes into the Niners and he starts day 1, if he does get drafted to the Niners, there will be the expectation like he's going to come in for Jimmy when Jimmy gets hurt in like 3 or 4 weeks. Like that is kind of the expectation. And like you mentioned, the sample size is concerning. So
it's not just the sample size. Like everybody brings up, oh, he played for NDSU, blah, blah, blah. I talked about this. The worst competition of all these quarterbacks was not played by Zach Wilson. It was played by Trey Lance. The best supporting cast for all these quarterbacks, one player had it, and that's Trey Lance. Like, do you understand how good NDSU is? Like, NDSU has won the last 4 FCS championships. They're probably going to win it next year when Trey Lance goes to the NFL. And again, these I hate these type of ways of talking about quarterbacks. And right now I'm being so hypocritical because I'm talking about it like that with Trey Lance. But I feel like the arguments for Trey Lance and the arguments against these other quarterbacks have zero correlation, because for whatever reason, Trey Lance has been getting all positive buzz for having this when he has the same kind of things that you could hold against these other quarterbacks that are being held against these quarterbacks with him.
Yeah. I mean, you could, if you think about like all these guys, like the top five, which is Fields, Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, and Mac Jones, every single one of them's team is better than their competition.
By far.
Every single one of them. I don't even know why it's like used as holding against. Like you could say, oh, look at Bama's O-line and receivers. They're all great. Our Clemson's not. Our BYU's not compared to the competition. Same with Dakota State. Same with Ohio State. Like all these teams are just powerhouses for who they're playing against. So like not using it against one guy is just like, all right, you use it against Mac Jones, use it against everyone else too. It's kind of crazy.
Right. It's like relative to their competition, relative to the FCS, Trey Lance is playing with by far, like they're a Power 5 type team playing in the FCS. And look, I think it should be Justin Fields. A lot of you clearly think it should be Trey Lance. We'll find out on draft day, and we'll find out who the best quarterback is. Blake and I both have zero problems saying that we were wrong because this is obviously something we don't know. Like the draft is such a crapshoot, and two, it's okay being wrong. Like it's just if we're wrong, then we'll learn on why we were wrong, and it is what it is. But I in my opinion, this pick has to be Justin Fields, and I think you feel the same way.
Definitely.